Hi everyone, this is Maya Zahira with Psychic Protection Sanctuary, joining you from sunny, hot, 100-degree southern Arizona. I hope you all are doing great and staying cool wherever you are. So this is our monthly Facebook Live that we do in our free Facebook group. And then after we complete the Facebook Live, I upload it to YouTube. So since it's a Facebook Live and we're waiting for some people to join, I'd like to go ahead and give you some important announcements and also a little tidbit of what we're going to be doing in today's Facebook Live. So our topic for today is living with an empath. So if you are an empath, or you might currently be living with an empath, or at some point in the future you might end up living with an empath, or maybe in the past you did and you're confused about how it went. So that's what this class is about today. I'm calling it a class, but it's really more of an interactive discussion. So I always want to be really clear what it is that we are doing. I know there's a lot of people doing different things on their YouTube channels. So a shout out to all of you who are watching on YouTube. I want to just be really clear that this is a Facebook Live and the intent here is interaction. So we're going to be commenting a lot. I am encouraging even more comments than usual in today's Facebook Live. So we will get into that in just a little bit. General announcements. All right, so I mentioned the free Facebook group, but I didn't say what it was called. For those of you who are watching somewhere else and you want to figure out how to join, it is called Psychic Protection Sanctuary Facebook group, and it's the group, not the page. So if you want the free group that's interactive, where you can ask questions and you can get involved to whatever degree that you want to, that's the group, Psychic Protection Sanctuary Facebook group. And it is a free support group out there for people who are wanting to learn more about how to manage your energy, or you're dealing with full-on psychic attack. Okay, so that's the first tidbit. The other tidbit is those of you who are not on the YouTube channel and you want to know what that is, that's also called Psychic Protection Sanctuary. It's on YouTube. Just type it in, Psychic Protection Sanctuary. And there are like literally hundreds of hours of free content on that channel, and I hope you enjoy it. I hope you binge watch all weekend, because I just love that there's all that free content out there. The third thing is, if you want to learn more about what I do and perhaps even work with me more deeply beyond the free stuff that I put out there, then you will probably want to go to my website, and that's www.psychicprotectionsanctuary.com. psychicprotectionsanctuary.com. The other announcement is that these Facebook Lives were on Mondays. They were on Mondays forever and ever and ever, and now I've switched them to Saturdays. So this is our first, I can't remember, is this our first or second time doing the Saturday? But at any rate, it's a new thing, so I don't know how many live people we will have, but I think in time it will grow. And also, when I upload this to YouTube, I'm going to upload it as a premiere later on Saturday. I haven't decided the exact time. Late afternoon, probably 4 p.m. Pacific, is probably what I'll do. I'm not sure, so don't quote me on that. And then that way, those of you who've missed the first round that was live, you can come on. And a premiere is when it's already uploaded, but everybody gets to comment live as the video is playing. So it's kind of like watching a movie in a movie theater that's already been pre-recorded and everybody's there together. So you can go on there again. So it's like a second chance to be interactive. Taryn says, I'm grateful for you switching them to Saturdays. I've been wanting to join in. Oh, I'm so glad. I know it works for some people, not for others. This feels good to me because actually my Mondays were a little too crammed. So I'm really grateful for the change. Okay. One more tiny announcement before we get into our lesson. And that is, if you do feel drawn to work with me more deeply, we go way deeper in my paid program. We cover a lot more than we do in the free content. We go deeper and broader, and there's so much support. You guys, I have a cat, so sometimes when I get on live video, my nose starts itching or I have to deal with stuff. We always got to keep it real and authentic, right? So if you want to go deeper, that would be Spiritual Empowerment Academy. And you go to psychicprotectionsanctuary.com, my website. And then under the events tab, you'll find Spiritual Empowerment Academy. And that academy is like fucking amazing. I love that group so much. It is my number one focus. That's what I focus on full time. Like, it's not one of those programs where you join it and you think that you're going to be able to work with whoever it is that you thought you were going to work with, and then that person is never there. It's like their assistant or their team. No, I hate that. I hate that so much. I hate it when I've joined programs and that happens. It feels like bait and switch, and that is not what this is. Some of you are in my program and you know I'm there all the time. I'm personally involved with the program. So if you want to work with me, that's what you would do. Okay, so I was a trained school teacher 30 plus years ago. And so I love homework and taking notes and everything. And I would love, if you feel called to, I would love for you to grab a pen and paper because you might get some ideas from today's class. Now, this is not as content rich as some of my classes. This is more sharing, but you still might get some thoughts about, if you're an empath, you might get some thoughts, like some self-discovery kinds of thoughts that you might jot down in your journal or your notebook. Okay, I forgot to mention that we do shout outs. So go ahead and say hello and where you're joining from as we begin to get into our lesson about living with an empath. Susanna says, hello from Sicily, Italy. This is my first live event. It's so great to see you. I feel a connection with you, Susanna. And I love your profile picture. The blue, the vibrant blue behind you is gorgeous. And how do you know if there are still entities you're dealing with? Okay, so that's something that we actually go into in the paid academy. So we don't do open questions in here. But there are ways that you can do it. You can learn methods of spiritual discernment so that you can ask questions and then get the answers. For example, do I still have entities attached to me? Yes or no? And you'll be able to get the answer. And then you'll also be able to learn you'll be able to determine from a whole list that I give you what kind of entity. Anne also says, I'm from the U.S., Great Lakes. Maria says, hello from Virginia. Oh, I'm feeling my age so much. I'm going to grab my granny glasses just in case. I'm having trouble reading your comments today. My eyesight keeps getting worse. Christy, hello from Kennesaw, Georgia. Taryn, hi from Washington State. This is my first live too. Oh, I didn't realize that. So I want to go back to Anne and say, Anne, thank you for your question. It's a really important question. And I have a feeling at least 5 or more people watching this were thinking, yeah, I want to know that too. It is more complicated than a quickie answer, but there are definitely methods that you can use that are pretty straightforward, and you don't have to be a master psychic in order to get the answers. There are tools I can teach you. Marie says, Samantha, oh, sorry. Marie says, first live here too. Yeah, Marie, I think I just let you into the group. And some of you don't know, but I'm really good about keeping healthy work hours. As someone who has a bit of a workaholic streak, I'm very proud to say that I'm very good about taking 2 days off a week, and my 2 days off are Thursdays and Fridays. So that's why all of a sudden on Saturday, there's all these like new people joining the group, because when I was out of the office, they are all of the people that I'm letting in when I'm back in the office. Okay, so we're going to talk all about living with an empath. I'm going to give a definition of what an empath is. Marie, you're very welcome from the group approval. And Taryn says that's good, healthy boundaries. Yeah, it's really important, whether you're an empath or anybody, doing spiritual work, doing any kind of work, being a parent, having a regular, like a job or whatever it is that you do. So important to manage your energy, and part of how I do that is I compartmentalize my time. Like, this is work time, and when it's work time and a friend calls me, I'll talk to them for like a minute, and then I gotta go because this is work time. This is work time. This is not work time, and it helps me maintain my energy levels and not get drained, so I can keep doing work for you guys. So we're gonna define what an empath is, but before we even define that, I want to ask you all, even before I give the definition, do you feel that you are an empath? Go ahead and say yes, or give a thumbs up or a heart. So do you feel that you are an empath? Okay, so it always takes a second for the comments to come through. So when I ask for comments, comment really fast. Get it sent. Anne says, oh yes. Marie says yes. Taryn says absolutely. I'm an empath also. One of the inspirations for doing this class was I'm also very self-reflective, and I think about things a lot, and I've had different times in my life where I've lived with people and thinking about what worked, what didn't work, and the particular aspects of being an empath, and that it's interesting, if someone isn't an empath, that they don't understand what's happening. So that was my inspiration for doing this class. Susanna also says yes. Okay, so as always, I'm going to be looking at my notes because I'm a teacher. And also there's something different today. I've got kind of a command center set up here. This is definitely a more sharing type of class than usual. And I did a couple of posts in the last month asking people what they thought about empath issues. So I'm going to be reading from those comments as well, and you'll have the opportunity to share too. So we're going to be getting not just my teaching. A lot of this is going to be your comments and your opinions about being an empath. Susanna says, you have the best laugh. Oh, good. I'm glad. I have no idea. Nora says, so good to see you. It's good to see you too. I'm also a very emotional person, so when my heart fills up, it'll look like I'm about to cry. It's good to see you, Nora. Okay. Finally, I'm going to finally answer the question, what is an empath? After we chatted there for a while. What is an empath? So I'm going to give you a really loose definition because this class today is more about understanding living with an empath and less about defining every single type of empath. So loosely speaking, an empath is someone who picks up on the energy, emotion, feelings of others. So this is someone who can feel someone else's emotions, maybe, or they can feel someone else's intentions, or maybe if someone isn't feeling well, if they are a physical empath, they might feel the person's headache or the person's tension or whatever. So there's different kinds of empaths. Some are emotional empaths who can pick up on emotions. Some are physical empaths And then there are various other empaths that we won't get into today, but we're just talking about the basic general definition of empath. And I'm going to just include physical and emotional empath into that. So are you a physical or emotional empath? Do you pick up on other people's emotions? Can you feel when they're sad? Can you feel when they're angry, but they're saying that they're not angry? Can you feel that? Can you feel that? Like you know what it is. You feel their feelings. Or are you a physical empath? If somebody has a stomach ache, you feel their stomach ache or whatever. So are you an emotional empath, a physical empath, or both? Go ahead and answer. Okay, physical, emotional, both. Taryn says emotional big time. Anne says emotions. If you're watching the replay, I want you to write this down. Write down if you're an emotional empath, physical empath. Today's class is about getting more personal clarity, more than getting like teaching content, right? This is really important. Self-reflection, understanding yourself is going to help you thrive in the world and manage your energy. Marie says emotional empath and possibly physical too. And there's a spectrum. So we might be like very much emotional empath and occasionally a physical empath. Maybe not all the time. Susanna, emotional empath. Christy, both. And she's got the crazy smiley face with doing that. Yeah, it does get crazy sometimes. Nora says physical empath here, but some emotional too. Yeah. Okay. So when you can understand, excuse me, I need a drink. Yeah, I'll try not to choke on my own spit while I'm teaching a class. So as an empath, if you're picking up on other people's emotions or physical feelings, then imagine if you're living with somebody day in and day out, it can be very challenging. And I don't even need to ask you to imagine, like, right? You've lived it. You're like, oh my God, I'm rolling my eyes like, yes, I totally know. And if somebody doesn't understand about what it is to be an empath, they can be pretty clueless. Even if they're a very nice person who's trying to be nice, they might not understand how harmful certain things are to you as an empath. So once again, this class is for those of you who are empaths, but also, which is probably going to be most people who watch this video, but also anyone who's not an empath, you're going to learn a lot from this, because I guarantee there are at least a few people in your life that you're going to encounter, that you're going to be spending time with, either living or going on a trip with them or in a relationship with them or working with them or whatever, that are empaths. And it's important that you understand the perspective, because I'm going to assume that you want to have the highest and best interaction with them. Okay, so what's next on our list? Okay, so there are two different questions that I asked the members in our free Facebook group a couple weeks ago, and we began our conversation then. So we're going to continue that conversation. There are two questions, and the first one we're going to address now. And you can go ahead and answer this question now. And I'm also going to read whatever comments were posted previously. So I'm going to be looking different directions here. This first question: as an empath, what are your unique challenges with living with other people? Now that could be living with a spouse, living with a partner, living with a family member, living with a roommate, like whatever. It doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. Definitely not. It can be anything, any kind of relationship. And this could be even you're traveling for a month with somebody and you're living together. It doesn't have to be long-term, short-term, long-term, whatever. As an empath, what are your unique challenges with living with other people? And go ahead and share your comments now, and I'll read them. I really felt like it was very important that we get a lot of sharing in here, because my challenges with living with other people might not be the same as what yours are, because we're all, even though we all have this commonality as empaths, it might be a little different for each person. So you're going to notice that as I read some of these comments from my computer, you might relate to some of them, but not all of them, right? So again, this is an opportunity for self-reflection. Also, if you're watching the replay on YouTube, you can go ahead, or anywhere else you're watching it, go ahead and answer this question. As an empath, what are your unique challenges with living with other people? And that's going to help you gain clarity about yourself, and also other people reading your comment are going to understand their own situation better. Taryn says, my parents are draining. I gotta put my glasses on. I cannot read. Okay. My parents are draining versus my kiddo who has excess energy, and I struggle to know the difference between my feelings and theirs. Yes, that can get tricky. Yeah, because when you're an empath and you're feeling a lot of stuff, it definitely takes practice. That's one of the things that an empath needs to learn over time, is how to identify, okay, what's mine? Like, I'm feeling stressed out, I'm feeling upset, I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling whatever, fill in the blank. But sometimes an empath will think that whatever they're feeling is theirs, but it's actually coming from the other person. Nora says, they blast me with their energy gremlins when they are upset. Fills my aura with energy trash. I can relate to that so much. And it really annoys me, because I work really hard to have a clean energy field, and it really actually pisses me off if I'm living with someone and they've mucked up my energy completely. But when you're with them every day, day in and day out, and it's like you can't keep up with clearing all the stuff that they're avoiding clearing themselves. So it's like, oh my God, it just pisses me off. I totally relate. Christy, needing a very clean environment, and I lived with messy people. Yes, for some empaths, and that would include myself as well, a harmonious, tidy environment, like a very peaceful environment, can be very helpful. Not every empath is like this, but I totally understand. Marie says, having the energy sucked out of me, not adopting their emotions. When a lot of people are around, it is overwhelming, and I have to put myself in a timeout. Yeah, I totally understand. Yeah. Marie also says, also, I can feel people's energy when I am not around them, that I have a connection with. Yeah, that's important, you guys, to understand. It's not just living with people, but even if you have a connection with them and you're far apart, you can still pick up on things, especially if they're thinking about you, but really anytime. So also, I can feel people's energy when I am not around them, that I have a connection with anxiety, sadness, fear, depression, etc., and I don't even have to talk to them. Yeah, and Taryn says, same here. Yep. Okay, so, let's see what else we have here. Tamara says, I don't even have to live with some people who I'm deeply connected with to feel their stuff. I can tell when a former partner is in a depressed mood or high anxiety state. Yeah. So I want to share something here that I learned that I was an empath probably like 25 years ago. Yeah, probably 25 years ago was when I started to learn what an empath even was. I bought one of Dr. Judith Orloff's books. Let me read Maria's comment. I have other gifts too, so not sure if that adds to it. Yeah. So way back in the day, I started to learn about what an empath was and why I was feeling what I was feeling. And so that was really helpful to have an understanding of what an empath was. And then over the years, I practiced discerning what's mine, what's not mine. And there's a question that you can ask when you have feelings that come up. You just simply ask, is this mine or is this not mine? And often you'll get a sense like, oh, it's not yours. It's not yours. It's somebody else's. You might get a sense of whose it is. And then what you do is once you realize it's not yours, you practice just taking a breath and releasing it and just saying, oh, that's just information. And then you release it. I'm going to read Marie's comment, and then I have another. I want to complete what I was saying. Marie says, oh my God, same here. I knew something was going on with me. My ex hadn't talked, was going on with my ex. Hadn't talked to him in forever, couldn't shake it. So I had to reach out to him. He was going through something. Yeah, so we can definitely pick up on things from people all across the world. So for me, where I've been in my empath journey has been that when I'm interacting with people, I can very easily identify that's not mine, and I can just take it as information and let it go. But it's very hard. It's been very hard to live with certain people, and not everybody. I've done okay living with certain people, but the particular, I've learned that I can't live with someone who is not working on their stuff and who is being very self-avoidant about their stuff. So, for example, if they have a lot of anger that's coming up and all sorts of other kinds of feelings that they're experiencing, and they're pretending to be happy every day, and that's going to be basically disaster if I'm around that every single day, day in and day out. Because, if I was just interacting with that person for an hour, I would just release that energy afterwards, and that's fine. But day in and day out for months and months and months and months and months, eventually it wore my energy system down so much and actually started to cause PTSD. Because every day when they're, and I want to know if you guys can relate to this. If you're interacting with someone where what they're saying is incongruent, it doesn't match with what their eyes are telling you and what their energy is telling you and what your empathic spidey sense is picking up. So when they're saying like, oh, I'm so happy, and sing-songy voice, and yet you can feel how sad, afraid, angry, depressed, or whatever they are, if you're around that every single day, have you noticed that it starts to cause anxiety for you, whether it's in a workplace? I know for me, I did okay for a couple of months, and then after a while, the anxiety built and built until it was turning into PTSD of every time I was around this person, the not authentic smile and the pretend positivity, and then but their energy, because they were self-avoidant and not working on themselves, and they were avoiding everything that was all their authentic feelings. Who was picking all of that up and having to deal with it? I was. And I'm very clear now. Like, I cannot live with someone who's avoiding all their stuff, because then who ends up having to avoid it? Who ends up having to feel it and deal with it? The empath, the other person. Yeah, and you guys were saying, yes, absolutely. Yeah, and I went through a situation like that, and it was, I'm going to assume everybody means well. I don't know what happened. It paused for a second, but we are back. Yeah, we're going to assume that everybody means well, but when you don't understand how you're affecting other people's energies, and being an empath is a unique thing. So those of you who are watching this who are not an empath and you don't understand how your behaviors affect an empath, here you go. So Marie, and you guys, I'm at that age where small writing is like impossible for me to read. Oh, and one of the things about my device, okay, here we go. Come on. Is that when I get behind on comments, it really messes things up. So, okay, Marie says, yes. Last 3 years, it broke me in many ways. I did tell the person when they were lying their true intentions. The impact on me over such a long period of time has been a real challenge for me. Let's see if I can get this to bounce back from. Yep. Yeah, and for me, it ends up feeling like gaslighting. It's like the person is saying one thing, but it's a lie because what's really going on is something else altogether. And when you can clearly see that every day, like you can feel it, you know it, and it's like every day gaslighting, which will cause anxiety for some empaths. And I learned something about myself, like, living in a circumstance like that for enough months, my mental health suffers a lot, and that is just something that I needed to know about myself, and that might be true for other empaths. I'm sure that it is for some as well. Marie says their anger, outbursts, etc. Last time he was here without any outbursts or anything. After a week, it affected me. Didn't understand why. Yeah, because you were feeling the outburst, even though the outburst didn't physically happen, right? Taryn says, I have a coworker who says, I'm fine. Oh, God. But I can feel the gut-wrenching emotions she's going through due to life drama. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, that's tough. And it's tough also, like, if someone says that they're fine and they're actually feeling a lot of anger or resentment toward you. I'm not saying just you, Taryn, like anybody. If they're feeling a lot of anger or resentment toward you and they're saying that they're not, and you can feel it, and it's like, oh my God. And it's like, I see what's happening, but it's like constant gaslighting. Okay, so we had some really great comments in the Facebook group. I'm going to read some of those now. Okay, so again, the question was, as an empath, what are your unique challenges with living with people? And I'm not sure if I say this name right, but Iria, I'm so sorry. Taryn says, like, just be honest, LOL. Yeah, that's what it comes down to. A lot of empaths have a need that they need to have people in their life, whether it's someone that they're living with or other relationships. They need those people to be honest and transparent and authentic. And again, I'm not going to assume this is true for every single empath out there, but I think this is the majority. We need people who are honest and authentic and real, and not pretending to be something that they're not, or lying, or whatever it is along that spectrum. Because we can feel and we know what the truth is, and all that the lying or the pretending or the whatever, it fucks up our radar so bad, which is why it can cause anxiety for somebody like me who's really, really tuned in a good way. Like, I'm really good at discerning what's mine, what's not mine, but I'm very tuned in. And so sometimes I'll know other people's intentions more than they know their own because they're lying to themselves. And I understand people do that, But honesty, they've got to be honest. I agree with you, Taryn. Honesty, authenticity. Taryn says, I have to tell my child regularly to please just be honest because I know. Yeah, I totally get it. Okay, so Iria, I don't even know. Vasquez. Okay, so sorry. I deeply apologize. People mispronounce my name all the time. So you can commiserate with me if you're watching this, Iria. She says, well, I need a safe person who can handle paranormal events, as in handle it without telling me it's crap or doesn't exist. I cannot live with just anybody as I have trauma from past situations. Yeah. Yeah. Marie says, true here is true. It's true here as well. I have said those exact words. Amazing to connect with others that understand this. Once trust is broken, it's hard to get it back, if ever. Yeah. I've known for several years that when it comes to romantic relationships, that because I'm an empath, I literally cannot be in a romantic relationship with somebody who lies. Even if it's like little white lies to protect my feelings or because they don't want to get in trouble for something. Like the white lies are very common in our culture. It's just considered like a norm, like, oh, everybody lies a little bit in their relationships. That fucks me up so bad. Like, it is just the worst thing ever. And I've known that about myself for quite a few years, because what I noticed was, back 25 years ago when I was in a relationship where the person would tell small and sometimes large lies, my spidey sense, my empath senses would be like, the alarms would be going off, and then they would deny it. And I was like, oh my God. So I constantly, even if it was just small lies, I just knew something was wrong. And so this hypervigilance and these alarms were going off all the time. And it just totally was messing with my radar. And so it was really interesting to also learn that even a relationship that's not really close, but just living in the same household, that even the